some direction. Give me some direction. Able minds are working, open hearts are learning. Give me some direction.
I facilitate body talk sessions that help transform core wounds into lightness. And today I'm here with my friend Gloria, and she's gonna share a little bit about her experience.
So my name is Gloria. I am married and I have two daughters. My oldest is 12 today, and my youngest daughter is 7. And I do holistic healing work, different types of coaching and body therapies, and work with plant medicine and essential oils. I do cranial sacral work, yoga therapy, different forms of energetic and manual therapy, a lot of alignment-based work, getting people's bodies back into alignment. I love to spend time in nature. Right now, I'm spending my week at the beach, spending time with my kids. I really love my work. I love being able to work with people and have them come to their own aha type of moment. A lot of my work, especially right now because I am traveling, it's all virtual. I love to dance. I used to see music a lot more often. I love listening to music, but on any given day, you'll hear me blasting lots of music and dancing. Lots of yoga. I love yoga so much. It keeps me safe in my body physically, and I try to spend time in solitude, quiet space every day in some form of meditation so I can have that internal clarity. I love life. So I work with doTERRA, which is a leader in essential oils, and they work within and partnering with the medical community. And it's really starting to shift how we look at medicine, how we look at our emotional well-being, how the body responds with our emotions and to this plant medicine. And it's absolutely altered the course of my life. So I love educating people on how to use essential oils, how they can incorporate them, what it is that they're actually doing.
What happened in the past that led you up to this point working with oils?
What really, truly altered the course of my life was her and her birth shifted my path because I was on a very destructive, self-loathing, self-hatred, very abusive to my body with drugs and alcohol. And when I got pregnant, all of that really shifted, and I started to look at, what is it that I actually want to be creating for this being, for this child? What kind of life do I want to create for her? And so it's really through that my life took a very drastic turn towards self-love, figuring out pain in my body that I had kind of just been neglecting or suppressing through drugs and alcohol. So really not looking to suppress my emotions, figuring out what was going on with my body. I had experienced pain in my body from a very young age. I think a lot of it was tied to my parents getting divorced at a young age. I had different heart palpitation issues, lots of chronic pain in my back and my neck. Over the last 12 years, I've really shifted my work and my efforts towards more personal self-discovery and service towards others. I think that the oils have been the biggest tangible transition that I've had, just because I'm constantly checking in with myself. How do I want to feel? What's going on? What do I need? And because of these tools that I have, I'm able to ask myself these questions and kind of get more in tune with my emotional health, which really in turn has shifted my physical health in really big ways. I mean, even my digestive health, which was a huge issue. The oils and yoga also, just because my physical body tends to be very open, very flexible, very giving. And so to find that inner strength in my body has just been so healing for myself. I used to have a lot of social anxiety. I couldn't be in very populated spaces
For a long period of time.
Right. Still maybe not like my preferred thing. I don't have those kind of panic attacks or anxiety attacks anymore. I can stay grounded. I can stay centered. I'll use like a very grounding oil like vetiver or cedar wood that not only grounds me, but also connects. And so I feel like that offers a layer of internal protection, even if it's just reminding you of this connection that you have. I mean, like cedarwood especially, probably the biggest, again, more tangible example would be my digestive health too. I think I had body issues, body dysmorphia. I had lots of eating disorders when I was younger, and it shaped a very negative relationship that I had with food. And I developed all of these digestive issues. Digesten was the oil that I was using. And in the course of about 2 weeks of using that oil regularly, all of my major gut issues, things that would literally leave me on the floor crippled for like hours, just in so much excruciating pain, were totally gone. So I've not had any symptom like that since I started using the oils.
Among doing oils and yoga, was there any type of fears that were coming up in your life specifically that you were noticing?
I think a lot of fear about how others would judge me or perceive me. So I had major fear of not being authentic to myself and what it is that I really want to do, and coming from a place that was heart-centered, making sure that I was really in tune with that highest part of myself so that the work that I'm doing was really vibrating on that highest level.
So before you even met me, was there anything that you were angry about?
I think I was angry at myself. I had maybe projected a lot of anger onto my husband,
So what seemed to be the top frustrations?
over analyzing, not being authentic, not being as heart centered as I wanted to be, having clarity around what it was that I want and what I want to be creating, putting that into action. So, productivity as well. Communicating was another huge thing for me. Just making sure that I was communicating clearly and articulating what I need. And I think I really wanted more clarity around my relationship too. I was feeling a lot of things and I wasn't sure how to articulate them or share them in a way that felt safe, but just emotionally safe for me to express.
What else were you doing to address like the issues of the need for kind of like a coherent relationship dynamic and clear communication and just being aware of an emotional vocabulary? Was there anything else that you were doing to address this?
I had felt called to work with one of my friends. I was traveling, I was out in Connecticut, and I was working with my friend Nora. It was my first time working with her though. I felt so much more open and alive, and like a fire inside me had been ignited. And I felt like there was so much more within that session that I wanted to kind of discover that I didn't even know was kind of like deeply buried in there. And because I felt so alive and so vibrant, that was a huge kind of kick to get to the root of, what was holding me back.
How well was this working for you?
After my session with her, it felt like my heart had been kind of cracked open. There was this very big opening in my heart where I felt so much more receptive to myself, and I felt energy kind of pulsing from this heart space. There was a moment when I had a very deep visualization with the session that I had with Nora, where I saw a projection of my life and what was possible. And I realized how small I was really playing and staying in this really comfortable spot, that my body and my mind was comfortable because it was familiar. But I just realized, like, if I want to go somewhere that I haven't been, like, I'm going to have to do some things that I've never done. And so, and I had used some oils before our session. I was really looking to kind of, again, just really tune into spirit. So I was using oils like frankincense, sandalwood, vetiver, cedarwood, grounding, earthy oils that also connect you with your higher self. But I remember specifically, I put those oils on before our session so that I could have that deeper connection with spirit before and during our session. But there were some things that still felt stuck. I mean, that was really what kind of led me to you.
And so you had that healing session. What was still, if anything, keeping you up at night and, eyes open, staring at the ceiling?
My husband was getting ready to leave for a big work, so he was going to be traveling for a grand total about 5 months. It's been about 5 years since he had last done something like that. It's jolting for our family and our routine. I had a lot of questions and discomfort around that situation, being alone, being without him, but also knowing that would kind of offer this opportunity for huge self-growth.
How did we connect?
So I think you posted a link that I had shared about working with powerful women. And it was an article on Emily Wright, who is one of the leaders in doTERRA. She's the creator and co-founder. And I think it just kind of started a conversation between the two of us. And I definitely was kind of poking around on your website, seeing what it was that you did, because it was intriguing to me. Because I had this very intense in-person session with my dear friend, we had our first video call just as kind of a check-in to go over, what it was that Body Talk actually was. We had that video call right after my session that I had with Nora, and it felt so resonant and so in sync with what I needed to do and what I needed to kind of further explore within myself. It felt perfectly aligned.
What was one thing I said or did where you felt confident moving forward?
It was definitely a feeling that I had. It felt good to connect with you and have you kind of explain things to me. And that felt very connecting, very resonant. After our call that we had together, I really felt confident that I would find clarity. You weren't trying to tell me that you were going to heal me. You kept leading it back to myself. And so that was very empowering.
Was there anything that we were going through where you felt engaged?
The spleen in my body is part of like my human pain that I have experienced for chronic periods of time in my life. That was one area that I'd constantly be pointed back to, and I could never really understand why I had this pain. And when we really talked a little bit more about what it is and how that relates to decision making, it was like something clicked, and I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Does anything about your relationships have a bearing on how you use this service or fit it into your week?
Yes, because my husband was leaving and I wanted to find more internal clarity around our relationship, around myself, and how I wanted to communicate within that relationship. It felt like the perfect time because both me and my husband work from home. Had he stayed and continued to work from home, I don't know that we would have really been able to get to some of the depth that we were able to in our sessions, because being alone, having that space by myself, the full hour to have our session in a space where I could totally just relax and release, that was really important.
What sort of thoughts went through your head right before you actually decided to purchase the sessions?
There was a clear connection between us, something that kind of brought us together. I always take those little signs as something, to pay attention to. It's almost like this indicator to myself that like, this is worth exploring. The timing was definitely right for a lot of reasons. I really felt confident that I was going to get the support that I was looking for with our work together. My need was to really kind of explore my limitations, what it was that was holding me back. And through the work that you offer, it's about exploring what we are intrinsically in tune with through our body, through our design. And it really helped me get more clear about the work that I'm doing, about the relationships that I'm in, about my feelings and emotions around it, and how it was kind of even manifesting within my body. The process itself was very simple. I was already very familiar with using Zoom. So just being on a video, I made sure that I had quiet space to myself, that no one else was in the house even. That felt very important to me, just that I had that total space to be alone and be able to get to some of those depths. We did the brain balancing technique before our session started, and I think that was very helpful, just to set the tone and get me in tune with my brain, my heart, my gut, all of those core centers that really keep you in tune. So that definitely seemed to help set the tone, and has served as a reminder for myself in the aftermath that, like, I have this tool available to me. I was laying down on my bed, fully clothed, and I would really just kind of close my eyes.
Is there anything specific you remember noticing during the first session?
There would be moments during our sessions together where I would start to feel different pulsations kind of flowing throughout my body, and different things that would kind of come up both physically and emotionally. I do remember that there was a pulsation in my lower back that I was not really aware of, but it brought my attention to it. And I felt a lot of restriction in my heart that, again, I think was really always there. It brought this awareness to this space of, like, how tightly I was kind of closing myself off or protecting this part of myself. I remember feeling more aware about even some of the actions that I was taking at the time, how I had some unresolved issues with my family and my father kind of not necessarily accepting me or loving me for who I was. And then that was kind of manifesting in these ways that were relating back to my marriage.
What did you notice after the first remote session?
I felt a lot clearer about being able to step aside from getting wrapped up in a lot of what was going on outside of myself, becoming also more aware of seeking external pleasures that weren't really in alignment with what I want to be creating, especially seeking maybe external needs or fulfillments from males, and how that kind of related with my own relationship with my dad. I think physically there was even a boil that kind of popped up around my heart center. That was a space that was feeling very restricted and tight. The whole session itself felt like a deep purge. Like there was all of this stuff and gunk that had been festering within me. And so after our session, everything felt much lighter. My skin even felt much cleaner and clearer. And the boil that I had that had kind of popped up had basically completely healed over. The oils I used during that time were Forgive. I was applying that oil on my heart center, self-forgiveness, and healing this space emotionally. I think I was also applying cedarwood, I think, to the bottoms of my feet, keeping me more grounded, so that after our session, I could kind of stay in that space and feel those things, allow myself to feel that more, and not just kind of move on to the next thing that I had going on in my day. I had 3 sessions, and we did them 1 week, one right after the other. After the second session, I think there was already this space of feeling safe and feeling held. I think we were able to explore this deeper level of anger, like deep-seated anger that I had. After our first session, I had kind of felt a little bit more vulnerable and raw. One of my challenges had been to always express myself authentically, because I would kind of almost coddle, my partner in a way that I didn't want him to experience pain. So instead of expressing myself completely in a way that might hurt him, I would just come and comfort him. After our second session, I think I had that realization about myself, that I was really resentful about not being able to communicate my needs, about always feeling like I needed to comfort and be this person who was protecting other people and not fully expressing what I wanted or what I needed. And that was kind of manifesting as this deeply seated anger. That was very enlightening. Even after our remote sessions, I had a lot of support from you, giving me additional resources and tools to kind of delve deeper into what was coming up. So there was a lot of space to explore nonviolent communication, look at different meanings of how to express myself fully and clearly. That was really helpful to have, and not just kind of feel like, oh, great, we've uncovered and unearthed all of this and have fun. It felt very grounding to have additional tools to explore on my own time.
What did you notice after your third session, and what was going on in the communication with yourself, communication with your daughters, communication with your partner?
After our third session together, I was still feeling a little nervous because I had unearthed a lot of needs and things that I think always knew I wanted to communicate, but had sort of deeply repressed and suppressed. I had an opportunity to really explore those and communicate those with my partner. I was nervous. I think being in tune with myself and having some of those additional tools that you had given me to explore and write out really helped me feel confident and stable and able to express myself in a way that I had not really ever been able to communicate with my partner on that level or in that way from a place of personal power, me being in my power in an authentic, heart-centered space, still being able to communicate what it was that I was needing from him. And it's really altered our entire ability to communicate with each other. The communication process has not stopped. Our ability to communicate and my ability especially to articulate my needs has continued to serve me, has continued to help us move forward towards like finding resolutions and solutions that help create win-win situations for everyone in our family, because I was able to step out of this place of feeling the need to just console him. I was able to look at our situation a lot more objectively, to really feel things more objectively, not take things personally. That really made a big difference in how I was able to read his emotions and also respond to, whether it was anger or fear or sadness. The work that we did, I think really just was so huge in getting me to like come back to center, come back to myself, notice how I'm feeling so that I'm responding in a way that is authentic. And that was my goal of our work together, was to be able to come back to that authenticity and to that stability within myself. After our third session together, I did have that opportunity to talk about a lot of things that had been coming up. My husband, he did come back for a little bit of a break in between his 5-month departure. And this gave us an opportunity to really talk and explore about a lot of things that I had been feeling and emotions that had come up that I had been suppressing. We stayed up very late talking, communicating, exploring a lot of this. It was challenging work to do. And physically, the next day, my body physically felt very sick. My throat felt like it started to swell up. My eyes got really crusty. I even threw up just because there was so much that I had finally been able to express. And it was like this big purge within my body. We were able to find different solutions. And within about 24 hours, it was very drastically different how I felt, and just the big shift that happened. That was not like a place of power for me at all. This empathy, it had never lended itself to being a powerful tool or resource for me to kind of tap into. Through this work that we did, I was finally able to realize that empathy is and can be a strength if it's centered, if it's grounded. I think a lot of people who are empathetic, who are empaths, we tend to maybe absorb other people's emotions and feelings. And, we look to coddle or comfort other people when we feel their pain. And that brings us out of our alignment, our self, our groundedness. But when we can use that empathy as a place to transmute instead of coddle someone in their place of fear, that's where it can be really transformative. So that's been huge, just being able to tap into this ability to actually transmute that energy versus absorb it and hold it.
Does the service that I contribute address concerns related to the family? Did you notice how, as you and your partner's communication got more empathetic and connected, did that reflect in the kids or vice versa that you noticed in any way?
Yeah, well, there was definitely a lot of shift that happened with me and the kids almost first, because it was just me there with my girls. And I was already kind of thrown for this loop of like not having my partner there to kind of help with the kids. So that was all on me to kind of hold that space for my kids. So our work together really helped me remember that I have to take some time for myself, and that by asking my children for space, for asking them to help do things that I know that they're capable of doing, that I was really instilling positivity in them as well, making sure that they know that they can ask for what they need and that they don't feel that they have to suppress their own needs. I was really able to lead by example. And so if I made sure that I was in tune with what they were needing from me, I could fulfill that, also create boundaries around what I needed as well.
What is your instinct of what made this service of how I integrate different than other modalities or services that you've done in the past?
It makes sense every time I read, every time I explore it a little bit deeper. This modality was completely new to me. Body talk was not something I had ever heard about before. I had explored your website and I had watched a video, that helped me learn. The fact that it included this physical body anatomy with astrology was very intriguing to me, and how it blended in together with the protocol and led this path and this procedure. It clicked. It really resonated with me.
You've had experiences with astrology readings before?
Yeah.
What is the contrast that you notice of an astrology reading and then what Body Talk is doing?
With, any good in-depth astrology reading, it's not just going to be a general look at your chart kind of thing, but you have to have a little bit more of a deeper sense of how those things tie in and relate to one another. And the anatomical part of it really adds a whole nother level of depth of exploration that I've really enjoyed learning about. And I think leads to more clarity, more self-discovery, personal discovery of yourself, of our true nature. I love it. It's very fascinating to me.
What is it about the service that mattered to you that stands out the most?
I think the ability for you to really hold the space.
What would be one thing I do or say so we can define what hold space means for people?
You're also creating a platform for us to connect with ourselves in this deeper way. And as you tune in to what's going on with me, you bring it up. It's the awareness aspect that makes your work so different than a Reiki session or a different kind of energy session. There's a personal accountability and freedom of expression that gets wrapped into this work. We're talking about it, we're exploring it, we're not just processing and letting the body do its thing. It's an internalized work that continues to unravel even after our sessions are done. So I think that's what really makes the work that you do so different and so unique from other healing modalities that I've done. I mean, I think it's been so fun to get to know you and explore this work that you do. You brought to my awareness the start with why. You really encouraged me to explore that on a deeper level. It's still something I'm exploring. I'm really grateful for the opportunity that I have to keep feeling encouraged to explore these things, both personally, within my life, within my work. I have support, and that's really nice to have.
What kind of people do you sense this type of service contributes to and helps?
People who are already on a path of self-exploration. They're willing to do the work of exploring themselves, their emotions, how that relates to their body, how that relates to the charts that you're seeing and able to articulate with them to bring them back into their own place of power and help them find more clarity. Helping people discover more of their shadow work, some of those deeper repressed and suppressed emotions and feelings. The people who really want to get to the bottom of what it is that's holding them back so that they can have this new freedom within their body and within their life.
What do you secretly desire right now the most out of your life as you're moving forward?
It's still to be authentic and heart-centered. It's important to me that as I look to expand the work that I'm doing in the world, it's important that I come from a place of authenticity, that I'm able to inspire others to be authentic in their self as well. As I step into more of a leadership role, I want to be real. I want to be able to communicate. I don't want to hold back a part of myself because it will make them feel comfortable. I want to push those boundaries if that's something that needs to be done. This work has really brought me back to myself and helped me feel confident to do that.
So what do you wish to see more of in the world?
More people connecting with their authentic self, their spiritual self, because when we're connected with that deeper part of ourself, we come into an alignment that creates pure magic. I've seen it happen. I've been a part of it. And if more and more people come into this place of authenticity and alignment with spirit, it is altering the world. It's shifting the way that we communicate, that the world interacts with itself and each other.
If there's moms out there who are watching with children and they have a partner and they were perhaps where you were at before you discovered oils and yoga and astrology and body talk, and they have unmet needs and they want to learn more about themselves and connect to this deeper sense of authenticity and spirit, what would you like to say to them?
Kids are such a blessing. To be able to be more present with yourself is going to be a bigger blessing. You will be able to be more present with your children, with your family, with your husband, with your partner. Whatever challenges it is that you have, you're going to have these tools, whether it's yoga or oils or carving out the time and the space to have a body talk session. There's an unraveling that's going to continue to evolve, and it's worth the investment, the emotional investment, to make space and create time for this in your life, because it's going to change your world. It's worth it to live and feel happy and feel in tune with yourself, because it has a spiral effect around the people that you're with. It's not just you, it's going to affect everyone that you're around, everyone that you work with, everyone that you're in contact with. It's worth it. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself how you're feeling, because those things are going to get you to a place where self-care is a normal part of your life. And that's a powerful thing to be instilling in yourself and in your family and in the people around you. If you'd like to learn more about the work that I do, you can definitely find me on social media, and my Instagram is Emerging Essentials. I tend to connect with moms a lot just because I have a very powerful motherhood story and how it changed my life and shifted my awareness of myself. So I love to connect with other conscious moms who are really looking to be aware of what they're creating in their life for their children and for their families.
This was a gift of celebration. Thank you for creating time